You wake up before your alarm, not because you're disciplined, not because you're motivated. Your body just knows the rhythm, the pressure, the repetition, the quiet certainty that today will look almost exactly like yesterday. For most people, this feels normal, safe, predictable, but nothing about it is accidental. This story doesn't start with adulthood. It doesn't start with jobs, salaries, or debt. It starts much earlier. It starts with rules you absorbed long before you were old enough to question them. Rules about money, about safety, about what's possible and what isn't. Think back to childhood, before bills, before stress, before the word budget carried any emotional weight. What did money feel like back then? For most people, money felt like a wall. You wanted something, you asked for it, and sooner or later, you heard the same sentence. We can't afford that. It sounded responsible, protective, even loving. But inside that sentence was a hidden lesson. Money is scarce. Money is limiting. Money is something that stops life from happening. That lesson doesn't disappear when you grow up. It becomes your default operating system. Now here's where the divide begins. Rich kids almost never hear that sentence. They hear something very different. That's expensive. What would we have to give up for it? Is this the best use of money right now? Same situation, same reality, completely different framing. One teaches finality, the other teaches trade-offs, and trade-offs are the language of wealth. Let me introduce you to Ethan. Ethan is 11 years old. His family isn't famous. They don't live in a mansion. They don't show off. But the way money works in his house is different. When Ethan receives money, nobody rushes him. Nobody tells him to spend it. Nobody congratulates him just for saving it. Instead, they ask questions. What do you want this money to do? How long do you want it to last? What happens if you don't touch it at all? At his age, Ethan doesn't fully understand these questions, but they're shaping how he thinks. He's learning the first rule rich kids absorb early. Money is not a reward, it's a resource. Most people grow up seeing money as the finish line. Work hard, get paid, spend. Rich kids grow up seeing money as the starting point. What can this create? What can this protect? What can this multiply? Now compare that with Olivia. Olivia grows up in a responsible household. Her parents work hard. They pay bills on time. They avoid unnecessary debt. They teach her to save. Saving is praised. Saving feels mature. Saving feels safe. By the time Olivia reaches adulthood, she has money set aside, but something crucial is missing. No one ever explained what saving is not. Saving protects money. It does not grow it. Rich kids learn this early, sometimes painfully. They learn that money sitting still is quietly being attacked, not by mistakes, by time. Inflation slowly erodes purchasing power. Opportunity cost silently compounds losses. Years pass whether money moves or not. So when rich kids save, it's temporary, a holding phase, a staging area, not a destination. Now let's talk about comfort, because this is where most people unknowingly lock themselves into place. From an early age, most people are taught that progress looks like upgrades, a nicer apartment, a newer car, more convenience, more comfort. Each upgrade feels like success. Each one feels like proof that things are moving forward. But rich kids see something different. They see how comfort quietly increases dependency. They watch adults turn down opportunities, not because they lack skill or ambition, but because their lifestyle requires certainty. Mortgage payments, car loans, fixed expenses, obligations that don't care how you feel about your job. So rich kids learn another rule early. Every lifestyle upgrade comes with invisible costs, not just financial costs, psychological ones. It costs flexibility, it costs optionality, it costs the ability to say no. While most people chase higher income, rich kids calculate fragility. How much pressure does this lifestyle create? How many decisions does it remove from my future? Now let's talk about work, because this is where the illusion becomes dangerous. Most people are taught to treat a job like an asset, something stable, something safe, something reliable. Rich kids are taught something uncomfortable. A job is not security. It's permission. Permission that can be revoked. They grow up watching layoffs, reorganizations, entire companies disappear. They see smart, hard-working people lose income overnight. So instead of trusting a single paycheck, they build buffers. More skills, more income streams, more ways to survive disruption. This is why rich kids take risks that look reckless to everyone else. They're not reckless. They're insulated. They don't rely on one fragile pillar to hold up their entire life. Education follows the same pattern. From the outside, it looks identical. Rich kids go to school, they get degrees, they follow the rules. But internally, the purpose is different. School is not presented as the path to success. It's presented as a tool, a way to gain leverage, a way to increase control. Rich kids don't believe education creates wealth. They believe ownership does. Education supports ownership. It doesn't replace it. This leads to another rule most people never hear. Skills create income. Ownership creates freedom. Most people stop once they're employable. Rich kids keep going until they influence outcomes, until they control distribution, until they own systems instead of participating in them. As adults, the divergence becomes impossible to ignore. One group asks, "How much does this cost?" The other asks, "What does this return?" One group asks, "Can I afford this?" The other asks, "What happens if I don't do this?" One group focuses on income. The other focuses on independence. And over time, these questions shape radically different lives. Not overnight, not dramatically, quietly, consistently. Here's the most uncomfortable truth of all. Most people aren't bad with money. They're not stupid. They're not lazy. They're not irresponsible. They're obedient. They followed the rules they were given. Rules optimized for stability, predictability, compliance. Rules designed to keep life manageable, not free. But stability is not freedom. And freedom was never the system's priority. The people who escape don't have secret knowledge. They just become aware. They realize the rules they were taught are not laws of nature. They're defaults. And defaults can be changed. Awareness doesn't make you rich overnight. It doesn't erase debt. It doesn't guarantee success. But it changes direction. You start asking different questions. Why does my money leave so fast? What am I building? Assets or obligations? What would happen if income stopped tomorrow? And once those questions enter your mind, you can't unask them. Your decisions begin to shift. Not dramatically, but permanently. This is what rich kids learn early. Not secrets. Not hacks. Just better questions. Questions that compound. And the people who never learn them don't fail because they lack effort. They fail because they were playing a different game. Without knowing it. If you want to understand the real mechanics behind money, not motivation, not hype, not shortcuts, subscribe. This channel isn't about getting rich fast. It's about learning the rules early or choosing to learn them now. I'll see you in the next one.